Good morning.
Happy Wednesday.
Welcome to our WOW podcast. This is Wendy's on Wellness Wednesday, WOWW. This is episode 22. Can't believe it.
Yay.
This
I
is
know I
awesome.
can't either.
Yes. My name is Dr. Wendy Sumassi. I am an alternative medical practitioner, an author, owner of Freedom Holistic Wellness. I am a holistic nutrition specialist, a wife, a mom, a Gigi, lover of Jesus, lover of all things natural, gardener, cook, all the things. And this is my
all the things.
amazing friend, Wendy Flournoy.
Hi, guys. I'm Wendy Flournoy, certified hypnotherapist, herbal enthusiast, forager, teacher, mom, wife, Gigi to almost 6. Lover of all things natural, non-toxic, and God-given.
Yes. Well, this has been an amazing first week of the year, and we are already, both of us are experiencing a deep freeze right now. What the heck do you have going on in your world right now, Wendy?
Well, I'm close to the city of Richmond, and there's been some major water issues going on around here, and a lot of the surrounding suburbs get their water from the city, the main plant in Richmond, and people are out of water. No water, not able to flush toilets, no drinking water. It's horrendous. So I've been a little frustrated because I have seen some people trying to profit off of this situation, whether they're on well water or they're still connected. I particularly get my water from a different area. So I haven't been affected, thankfully. So I've opened my home for anyone that needs a shower or to wash clothes or to fill water containers, whatever. I don't have a lot, but that I have water currently. So if anyone near me, near the Richmond area, needs water, needs to fill up, needs to shower, anything like that, please reach out to me because my home is open and available and I do have water.
And you're not going to charge people and make it a business.
No, my water bill will be a little higher, but that's okay. I can manage that.
Yes.
I just feel like God put us here to help each other.
Yes.
And this is not a normal thing. And people are not, think about how much you use water for.
Right.
Even giving water to your animals and things like that is, flushing a toilet is just a normal daily thing that we take for granted and you don't have water and you can't do it.
Right. No, I agree. And, I've lived on well water the majority of my life. And so I'm very accustomed when these storms come in, you got to fill the bathtub, you got to do things like that. But you don't think about like that stuff when you live on city water.
Well, this is the first home I've lived in without well water.
Right.
So it's been a lot of adjusting going on because I'm used to living in the country on well water, like you said, filling up the tubs and the sinks and everything when you expect bad weather because your pump might not be usable because you don't have power.
Right. Exactly.
So I was without power all day Monday because we had weather and, ice and all like that. And this may be a contributing factor to this water situation. I'm not sure. I just know that nobody was expecting it to be as long as it's been already without water. So thankfully I got my power back in the same day, although it was all day long. Kept my fire going. Everything was good.
Good. Yeah. Cause it has been cold. We're 4 hours north of you, 3.5, 4 hours north of you. And I know Bill yesterday when he went out, it was, I want to say my phone said it was 16 degrees. I think the truck told him it was 19, but the wind chill was -2.
Oh.
And those guys working in the trades, he might get called into a house that's fully operational and has heat. And so he'll be okay. But there's a lot of times he's working on new construction or rehabs.
That's what I was thinking about all these guys that were around here working on the power Monday evening because there were massive transformers that blew around here because of the ice. And my neighbors across the street right behind them was a huge one. Although we're not connected to that one. So we got our power back first.
Uh-huh.
They lost theirs first, but those guys were out there till 9 o'clock that night, and it was frigid.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm like, man, kudos to all those guys.
Yes. I
And
tell you what,
ladies.
I am always so grateful for the linemen and for
Yes.
everybody doing that. There was what was it, 2 summers ago maybe? We had what we think was probably a tornado touchdown, but it was certainly a really bad storm that came through our area, and we
Yes.
didn't have power for a week.
I
And
remember y'all's makeshift shower outside.
yes, we sure did. One of the beauties of living on land, we Bill had set up because we're way off the road. He had set up where the truck would be blocking anybody from being able to see us, and he had one of his portable water pumps set up connected to the generator that was and hooked to the hose. So we were taking showers, but yeah, when the linemen came, man, we were so excited. We set up tables down in the field. I started cooking on the grill. I was fixing them. I mean, like so much food. I did burgers and dogs and roasted potatoes and onions, anything I had that I could do on the grill. And I was taking them out there and putting them. We had a cooler full of water, and it was just like they were like, man, we've been yelled at for a week. And I was like, oh no, we are not yelling.
So grateful to see y'all. Let me feed you.
Yes, eat, drink, do all the things, because it was July. It was hot. And these guys were coming from states away, leaving their families and everything. I'm like, you are not getting any yelling from this girl.
I never get frustrated with them because they're trying their best to get us back where we belong.
Yes.
And you're right. A lot of times they are from out of state. They're away from their families. Yeah. And they're out in the elements, whether it's hot, cold, rain, whatever.
Yeah.
Doing their job.
Yes. We just got to have patience and love on people like that, because we need them. Why be nasty? We need them.
To live this spoiled life that we live.
How spoiled. I'm telling you, that was one of the things I remember during that same storm. I had to shut off Facebook. I was so annoyed because all the local Facebook groups were loaded with people whining that they didn't have power because their kids couldn't power up their devices. And how am I going to keep them entertained? And I'm like, oh, wow. Where have we gotten?
Go outside.
I know. I was like, it's summer. Go play. Take off your shoes, run around barefooted. It's gonna be all right.
That's right. Go get dirty.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're a spoiled society. It drives me nuts, but it is where we are. I am celebrating this week in my purple. We are in the playoffs on Saturday. And I say my number one team is horrendous and had a horrible year, the Dallas Cowboys. But because I live in Baltimore, I have adopted them as my second team. And it is so nice to live in a town with a winning team. And I've experienced that many years since I have been here. They are good. And so...
I think I'm gonna have to pick a team to follow, because for so many years people were like, "Who's your favorite football team?" And I'm like, "The one my son plays on."
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So now that he's not playing anymore, he's now coaching. I'm like, I guess Rick and I need to pick a football team to follow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Y'all send us suggestions on who we should follow.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you certain ones. Bill will send you totally different ones. So.
Our oldest son is a Cowboys fan, and our youngest two, if they're going to do pro, they're going for the Commanders. So it's always been interesting in my house.
I bet
Dallas and Washington play.
Yes, I bet. Well, the Richard and Rebecca following the Commanders are much happier these days than those of us
right now this year, right?
Yeah.
And then of course I have a sister who's diehard Steelers.
Oh, that's not allowed.
That came from.
That's not allowed in this house. It was funny, before I ever moved up here with Bill years ago, I said to him, because anywhere I'd ever lived, well, Richmond has no team.
Yeah.
And then, in Tennessee, everybody's a Titans fan. So,
Yes.
that's the only places I'd ever really lived. I mean, briefly in Texas, but, my Cowboys life went just fine there.
Right.
But when I moved up, or just before I moved up, I was like, babe, are people going to treat me bad because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan? He said, we don't care about your kind up here. He said, you just can't move up here if you're a Steelers fan.
That's funny.
Because that's the big rivalry, and that's who's playing the Ravens this weekend is the Steelers. So they're like fight all the time. So
that's so funny.
One more shout out before we get started on our topic on fasting to you and your triple antibiotic ointment. I don't know why it ever blows me away when things work so well, but anybody who is still on the fence of like, I don't know if I should trust natural stuff over these man-made things, let me just tell you, there's a reason why these companies started making things in bulk, to sell and profit off of, because they found out that so much of what's in nature really does work, and they've tried to replicate it. Well, let me tell you, I had a scratch on my ear. And because it's so dry, every time I would take a shower, every time I would wash my face, it kept opening back up. It was not healing. It was driving me nuts. And Wendy sent me a text message about another situation of somebody using her triple antibiotic ointment. And I was just like, oh, I'm so dumb. Why have I not put that on there? One day, y'all, I was fighting this thing for a week every time I would, wash. One day, and it healed up, and no more busting open, no more anything. And I was just like, that is so incredible. Wendy, what all did you put in that?
That one, well, that is the beautiful thing about herbs too.
Yeah.
So many of them have the same kind of properties that you can research the herbs around you or what you grow to find out what's going to be best for you to use. Okay. In my triple antibiotic ointment is bergamot, comfrey, calendula, and yarrow. Mm-hmm. And they just soak in oil for I let them soak for like 6 months. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do it that long. 6 to 8 weeks is probably ample enough. That's just the cycle that I'm on. Because every 6 months I will strain it. Whether I need it or not, I will strain it and have the oil and start a new batch. So that way I always have it on hand when I need it. And I'll turn it into a balm or a salve, or you can just use the oil straight up. But that stuff is so amazing. I don't know if I told y'all this story, but I'm prone to sebaceous cysts in my breasts. Mm-hmm. And it never fails that they always lead to me having to go to the doctor to get it lanced, right? Uh-huh. And such a pain, and they won't do anything until it's to a certain point. And by that point, I can't move because it hurts so bad.
I bet.
So now I can feel them coming, and I've started using that ointment too. And it will it will stop it and break it right down to where I don't have to ever end up at the doctor anymore for those stupid things.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I was telling you about the little boy who had the eczema so bad on his face, and he's a toddler, so he scratches his face, and the poor thing is bleeding all the time. And my daughter watches him, so she started putting it on his face, and like a matter of a day and a half, cleared right up.
Amazing.
It's like amazing.
Well, I'm telling. I was using Neosporin because we had it and I wasn't thinking. And I was using some other things, like I was using some castor oil, and I was using some things that I just always have in my bathroom. And when you actually were telling me about that little boy, and I was like, what am I thinking? Because you know what it is. Bill's been keeping it in his bathroom. Oh. And so it's been out of sight, out of mind, because he loves it. He uses it all the time. And, plumber and in the trades, he's always got cuts and scrapes. So that's where it stays. And so I went back there, and just one time, I'm telling you, it blew me away. So huge thank you for that. But guys, don't think that these pharmaceutical companies that come out with these products are superior to
Yeah.
natural. That's a bunch of hogwash.
And that's just the world that we have grown up
Yes.
in.
Yeah.
100 years ago, it was common practice for people to use
Yep.
the herbs as medicine, like for things like that.
Yep.
It still works. It didn't stop working. We
Right.
just got away from it because there was a different choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's be real, advertisement, pretty, all the smart words and
Yeah.
marketing on their
Yeah.
products to make you
Yeah.
think that they're the best and they're the only thing that's going to work. It's by design. we
Yes.
are we are supposed to think that we need them, and we
Well,
don't.
I think that we tend to lean towards it has to be complicated for it to work.
Yeah.
And most things I've found it's the more simple you make it, the better.
Isn't that the
And
truth?
and I will, I love playing around with the herbs and concoctions and experimenting and this, that, and the other. But I've really found that I agree with some of the herbalists because you will get different answers depending on what our herbalist you talk to.
Oh
We
yeah.
all have a certain favorite plant, and that can change from day to day.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of herbalists out there, and I'm of this mindset that simple is better.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't take 5 plants to do the same thing that one plant can do.
Right.
If you learn one plant and its medicinal purposes and use it for all of those purposes, you're going to find so much power in that one plant that
Mm-hmm.
you never even imagined could be possible.
Right. And though the triple antibiotic works like it does because antibiotic properties can be attacking different things.
Yes.
So the fact that you put multiple antibiotic plants into one thing, that gives it more of a wider coverage of what it'll cover.
Yeah, so it's not just one going after one specific thing. So you have a range, and I just happen to grow all 4 of them.
Yeah.
And that's why I use those. But when you're doing research for any kind of herb or plant that you're growing and reasons that you're growing it, because everybody will have their typical, hey, this typically happens in my house. Hey, we typically get this. And based on that can be the basis for what you grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
then you're going to use it.
Yeah.
There's just like gardening. Don't grow food that you're not going to eat.
Exactly. And you've taught me too. This is because we're both the Go Big or Go Home girls. And I instantly thought I needed to have, I couldn't start an herb garden or an herbal or a medicinal garden until I had a plan with like 20 different plants. No, start with one. And you did that. You just added one a year for a while. Yeah. And now you have your normal ones, and you still will add one periodically here and there.
Because I want to play around. I want to see what grows good or thing, and I'll find come across, like the butterfly pea flower.
Yeah,
that's going to be an addition to my garden this spring.
Yeah,
and I'm so excited about that because the few teas that I've made with it already, I love. The tincture. I love it.
Yeah, I do too. I have one of the teas you made with it, and it's fantastic.
And it's beautiful. It makes things just blue and purple.
I was going to say the color alone is fun. It's like when I steep it, and I'm just like, oh, this is
it right? It just kind of instantly makes you happy because it's pretty.
Yeah, it is. All right, girl.
All right, girl. Oh, all right. I've got my notebook ready. I know like this much about fasting.
Oh,
so I am ready to take notes and learn.
So there's so much about fasting to talk about today. And we set aside this whole episode today for this because there are so many different ones that we hear about. And I thought this would be a great topic for us today because it's first of the year. A lot of people are exploring different types of fasting. But also I get a lot of questions and a lot of people wanting to know what type of fasting is right for them. I made a ton of notes because there are so many different reasons for all the different types. So I'm going to be looking back and forth at my notes to make sure that I don't miss anything. And there's a couple of them, including one that I have called the wrong thing for years. And just when I released my new program, as I was putting all the material together, I changed up what I was calling it as I was researching this. So, and that's intermittent fasting. And first of all, before I even go there, fasting in general, because a lot of people say, oh, well, that's not fasting, you're not doing that right. It's generally abstaining from something, from some sort of food or drinks for a set period. Okay, there is no right or wrong. There are different types. There's different reasons for these different types. So right now, if you're going into fasting and you hear somebody else doing a different type of fasting, as a matter of fact, we're going to cover the one that I wrote my dissertation on. Yeah. I've had people tell me, well, that's not fasting. I'll explain that in a minute, but it is. It's anytime you're denying yourself of something, you are fasting. So it's important to choose the right fasting for you, for what your goals are and what the purpose is behind why you're fasting. And some of them have multiple reasons. And so it's great to know all these different ones. So, and I often will combine multiple of these, and we'll talk about that too. So the first one that I want to talk about that I have called intermittent fasting for years, I am telling you now, it is no longer, and I'm not going to say I'm not going to slip up. It's very easy for me to just say it because I've said it for so many years in my teaching of others. It's actually the appropriate term is time restricted eating or time restricted fasting, depending on, who you're reading, talking about it. The definition of this is eating within a specific window, and that's why it's called time restricted.
That's what I always called intermittent.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
That's false. And we'll go deeper into intermittent fasting in a minute, but true intermittent fasting is actually more of a weekly thing. So like eating 5 days, fasting 2. So like a 5 and 2 type thing. A 6 and 1. That's true intermittent fasting. So what we're going to talk about is what a lot of people call intermittent fasting, but it's actually time restricted eating. If you are one of my past clients and you're going, I'm so confused, you always called it intermittent fasting. Yes, I was wrong. I admit it. There is a new term in town, y'all. It is time restricted eating or time restricted fasting. Either one.
When we learn more, we have to adjust.
Absolutely. We listen and we don't judge.
Good throw in.
We're gonna stay hip with all them youngins out there doing all the stuff on TikTok. So anyway, time restricted fasting. This is the one I teach the most, or time restricted eating. This is the one I teach the most. And I'll go into a lot more detail about this one today because it is near and dear to my heart. I am a big believer that every human past infancy should be time restricted eating. Yeah. Once you get to the point where a child is sleeping through the night, you should be doing time restricted eating. And what that simply means is a 12-hour window minimum in the middle of the night when you are sleeping. This means that if you're done with supper at 7 o'clock, you don't eat till 7 a.m. It is literally that simple. That is the basics of time restricted eating. Now, I'll give my reason why this is so important that I always teach people. I want you to recognize that your body has digestive cycles. Your gut has digestive cycles. And on average, everybody's different. Some people's are faster, some people's are slower, but on average, it's 4 hours. So say you eat at 6 o'clock, then from 6 to 10, your body is going through the first digestive cycle. That is, digesting all of the food as it sounds like and as you would expect. At 10 o'clock, it says, okay, is there anything left behind? Yep, there always is. Okay, yeah. So it'll go through a second digestive cycle from 10 to 2. So it is still working to digest everything that it missed in the first digestive cycle. It gets to 2 a.m. and it says, oh, wow, there's nothing there. Now I can take a break. That is the only time, if you go from 2 to 6 or 2 till whenever you start eating, that you are giving your body your gut true rest. Your gut is where so much is initiated in hormone production, in serotonin production, in all of these things. If your gut is having to work like crazy because you're constantly fueling it and never giving it rest, this is the reason why we get a lot of our hormone imbalances. This is why we struggle with our insulin and glucagon balance. This is why our estrogen, progesterone, testosterone levels get all wonky, our dopamine and serotonin levels, our cortisol levels. Yeah. So it is so important for our bodies to get that true gut rest. And so many of us don't, because we snack until, we jump in the bed. We're eating ice cream the last thing we do before we jump in the bed at 10 o'clock. And then we get up in the morning and think, oh, I got to make me, a super sweet coffee, and I'm going to have, pancakes and bacon. Yeah. And you're not giving your gut that chance for a break. Now, that is the 12-hour rule. That is the minimum. I don't care how healthy, how old, how young. I don't care any of that. 12 hours is doable and is the best for your health. So, and that to me is my bare minimum. So does that mean I never eat past supper? No. Maybe Bill and I are out with some friends after one of his bands has played a show or something like that, and we might want to go out to one of those late night breakfast places or something, and I eat at midnight. Well, then I just won't eat till noon the next day. Yeah. I just am always aware of when's the last time I fueled my body yesterday, because I'm not.
It doesn't matter the times, just as long as you get that 12-hour window.
Right.
Minimum.
So that is always my bare minimum. Okay. Now, the best method for good health is to reverse engineer from your bedtime. Yeah. So for me, I try to be in the bed at 9:30 every night. So I back that up by 3 hours, and I make a point to not eat after 6:30. Now, does that mean that there's not an occasional day that, life's crazy, I've got a late meeting, something might happen, and I eat at 7:30? It happens. Okay. Yeah. But my goal is to stop eating at 6:30, knowing that my other goal is to get in the bed at 9:30. I know that I operate best with an 8-hour eating window. So that means I don't start eating until 10:30. And oftentimes, honestly, because I'm so used to it, I'll all of a sudden realize it's 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I go, oh, wow, maybe I should eat something. And that's okay. There's no right or wrong answer. It's a matter of listening to your body. Yeah. So, I have some clients I work with that are like, Wendy, I get to 14 hours and I'm ready to eat my arm off. And I tell them, then eat. Yeah. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Some people feel like they can only make the 12 hours, then eat. That's okay. Yeah. The main thing is to listen to your body, because if you can tolerate longer, then your body is going to have a better opportunity for that gut reset. It also will help your cortisol levels. But what doesn't help your cortisol levels is if you are stressing yourself out trying to, I want to make it 20 hours and you're starving by the time you get to 16, you're going to cause your body more stress. Don't do that. So listen to your body. And this is something I'm talking about doing on a daily basis. If you're doing one of these other types of fasting that are a once in a while thing, then that's, a different story. But for a daily basis type fasting, time restricted fasting is something you want to listen to your body, and you don't want to create extra stress. But it's incredible. Some of the health benefits that I wrote down that I didn't want to forget, in addition to what I just told you about the hormone balancing and everything, it also supports circadian rhythms and better metabolic health, which the better metabolic health is a lot to do with the insulin and glucagon balance. Yeah. It improves your insulin sensitivity, which is fantastic, and regulates blood sugar levels. Nice. It encourages fat burning during the fasting period. And that's very true. Something else I recently learned, it also helps with the flushing away of the dead cells in your brain that can lead to Alzheimer's. If you're not getting enough of that, you need plenty of that rest period
Right.
to help with that. And of course, all the water you drink before and after and everything also is very helpful with that. And so, like I said, start with a 12-hour window. That's something that everybody should do. And if that is all you ever want to do, you're going to do great things for your health. But if you can do more, then more
Yeah,
is
because if nothing else, you're at least giving your body a chance to reset.
yeah. Yeah. A lot of people that are struggling with a lot of these metabolic disorders, and I've worked with tons of people that are like this. They're like, "You're telling me I got to give up my 11 o'clock ice cream at night?" And I'm like, "I'm telling you that you don't have to do anything,
Right.
but if you want your gut to operate the best, if you want your body to operate the best, if you want to fight metabolic disease the best, give yourself 3 hours before bed of a
Yeah.
break before before you go to
Give your
sleep."
body a chance to operate the way it was designed to.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reality is fasting, a lot of people are afraid that fasting in general is not healthy. Guys, I take you back to what I always say. You got to think about the way we were created.
Yeah.
We were not created in a surplus society
No.
where you had a fridge and pantry full of stuff. It was always, okay, I'm going to have to grow this. I'm going to have to put this away. I'm going to have to kill this. It was always that way.
Always
So,
seasonal.
yes. And so people were not eating the amount of food that we eat now.
No.
So it definitely it is not dangerous by any means. It actually is good for our health to observe different types of fasting. So that being said, let's talk about what intermittent fasting really is. I know I started to make a point about that earlier, that it's more looking at things on a weekly basis. So we've called time restricted fasting intermittent fasting for a long time incorrectly. It is intermittent fasting. The definition is alternating periods of eating and fasting on a weekly schedule. It can be a daily schedule, but it's usually a weekly schedule, which is what I mentioned, the 5-2 method. So eating for 5 days, 2 days off. Or alternate day fasting. Some people eat every other day, fast every other day. The health benefits to this is it does support weight loss and reduces visceral fat. It enhances autophagy, which is something that we definitely need to talk about, because that is one of the biggest reasons why to do any kind of periods of extended fasting. That is a cellular cleanup process. When our body goes into autophagy, it is basically a chance for our good cells to gobble up our bad cells and just clean everything up. It's really a fascinating process, and you can feel it. I mean, you can't feel them gobbling things up. You feel so much better and cleaner and just lighter and everything when you fast for extended periods. It's really, to me, it's fascinating. And it improves cellular health because of this. Reduces inflammation and oxidative stress, may lower risk factors for chronic diseases like heart disease and type 2 diabetes. So the biggest thing that I want you all to hear about this is that what happens to people a lot of times is they gorge themselves on their eating days because they think they need to,
make up. They need to make up.
Do like a bear, hibernating for the winter. They gotta stuff real good so that they make it through the next day. That's actually very counterproductive. Primarily because when you are loading yourself up with tons of food, you tend to be hungrier the next day because your body starts having cravings, especially if what you loaded up was high in carbs. Your body the next day is going to go, ooh, give me more of that.
Yeah.
And so it makes it for a miserable day off. And so you really want to do more planning ahead where you're actually making sure that your eating days, hopefully, if you're following a healthy lifestyle, it's going to be full of good, nutritious foods. And
Yeah.
then you're not going to fall into that misery
You're
on,
not gonna be as hungry on your fasting days.
right, right, exactly. Something else that my son really encouraged of me, and because he did it this way this time, he knew I was getting ready to start a fast, before the first of the year, which I'm still on. I think I'm on day 12. But he said, "Mom, I know you love your coffee." He said, "You really should swap it out for green tea fully, and I only would drink 1 cup a day." He said, "Because I'm telling you, I had the worst headache ever last time, and I did it differently this time, and it was a big difference." And he's exactly right. If you are planning to give up coffee, like if you're going to do what we're getting ready to talk about, the water fasting, you want to switch it out for something that's going to be milder caffeine, because and start preparing your body, because nobody wants to spend a fasting day with a headache and miserable and all of that.
Or withdrawals.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
any
terrible.
kind of withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, it's awful. So water fasting, this is when you consume only water for a set period, typically anywhere from 24 to 72 hours. This also boosts autophagy, like we were just talking about. It
Yeah.
also has a potential benefit of lowering cancer risk,
Nice.
and improving longevity. There's a lot of studies that have been done on this water fasting, doing it periodically. And when I say periodically, that's completely up to you. I know people that do it monthly. I know people that do it twice a year, just whatever you feel like works best for you. It resets your gut microbiota, which is so important, and promotes digestive rest, like we were talking about, that we really do the time restricted fasting for that reason as well. It improves focus and mental clarity. I can attest to this, y'all. It promotes ketosis, which I'm not a big keto fan for anything long term.
Yeah.
I use the ketogenic diet with my clients when it's necessary as a tool, for certain periods and temporarily. But this is one of those times that it promotes the ketosis. And initially, when you're in ketosis, your mental clarity is out of this world. It's really amazing. It This is one of those that you don't want to do this if you have a lot of health problems, unless your doctor is supervising. Okay. Certainly not longer than 48 hours. Usually when I do a water fast, I'll be honest, I do water and herbal teas, because I'm too big of a believer with, and again, there's no right or wrong answer. I stick to my herbal teas. That also makes it a lot easier to me, because I enjoy the flavor of the herbal teas. And I just do that and water. And I'll usually do 48 hours when I do it. I may have exceeded that at some point, but usually 48 hours is about as far as I feel like I need to go, and it's very beneficial. The one that I wrote my dissertation on, and Wendy participated in my dissertation study, my research study, is smoothie and soup fasting. This is going to be, if not my next book, one of my next books. It's something I'm very, very passionate about. This to me was so eye-opening when I started testing this on myself, and then went into a whole study of why I was experiencing what I was experiencing. As healthy as I eat, as healthy as I teach people, have a real problem, always have, with eating when I'm procrastinating, eating when, just stressed out,
Bored.
yeah, bored, and at times almost like a binge eating type thing, where I
Yeah.
just eat just to eat, just to eat, just to eat, because it's there.
Yeah.
And I can do it with healthy food. So even though I've lived this lifestyle, there's days where I could take a bag of carrots and I just don't stop. And
Yeah.
I'm not eating because I'm hungry. I'm just eating because I want to do this,
Yeah.
and it's something to do. So when I started doing the smoothie and soup fasting, one of the things that I wanted to that I quickly recognized was how much this was going to help people with binge eating disorder, and that's what I wrote my dissertation on. Now, what it is to consume nothing but blended foods. This helps your gut still get a good amount of rest. You're not making your gut have to do a whole lot of excess work because you're doing a lot of the work for it in your blender. But it also takes your mind off of food because you know that you are getting the nutrients that you need, so you're not truly hungry. If you feel like you're hungry and you're getting a well-balanced smoothie, well-balanced soups, I put stuff in them to make sure I'm getting plenty of protein, fiber, all the things, and you're still hungry, chances are it's not hunger.
Yeah.
It's I want to chew, you know.
I learned so much from that smoothie soup fast because a lot of mine is here.
Oh yeah.
A lot, that actual movement of doing that and chewing, actually
Yeah.
chewing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so physically, it has so many benefits.
Yeah.
It reduces your cortisol levels. It's a fantastic thing to do. What I discovered in my dissertation research is that 2 to 4 days was adequate for most
Yeah.
people. It really is. It's fantastic to do. I had one person that stuck it out. It was a 3-week fast or 3-week period, and I had people trying different levels. Well, I had one that said, I'm going to do all 3 weeks, and I was like, you go, sister. And I thought I could never do it. Well, I got to tell you, it's amazing. I'm on day 12 right now. Well, I did 2 days of water fasting before I started, so technically day 10 of my smoothie and soup fasting right now. To me, the most profound thing is that I've stopped thinking about food. I have opened up my brain to be able to think about so many other things because I have no reason to walk into the kitchen and open up the door of the fridge or the pantry and say, what am I going to munch on? Because it's just non-existent. Now, I will say one of the sad things about that is that I have so gotten food out of my brain that there's been a couple of nights I've forgotten to cook for my husband. And
Uh-oh.
he doesn't mind, and he's so chill. But last night I felt so bad. He actually went to the grocery store for me last night because of the snow. I don't like driving in it at all, and he's fine with it. To get a bunch of food because today me and one of my girlfriends are going to the homeless shelter and taking a bunch of stuff. I'm taking salads and things like that, and a big thing of apple crumble and I'm asking him to get all this stuff to feed our homeless neighbors that are, in the town. And meanwhile, he's doing all this for me, and I see him making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at like 8 o'clock last night, and I went, "Oh, babe," I said, I promise you tomorrow when I'm feeding everybody, our homeless neighbors, I promise to feed you too. I couldn't believe that I did. And I had pork chops pulled out for him and everything. I was going to air fry him for him. So he's completely capable. He just works all day. And so he comes home and he'd like a meal, So anyway, that's how far removed I am from thinking about food. It's pretty mind blowing. And if you could be in my head, that's quite a change because it usually occupies a lot of space. And now it's opened me up to be more focused.
Nice.
I am doing it. I'm doing it for physical reasons, but also I'm doing it. I'm doing a 40-day fast for spiritual reasons. And wow, I mean, it's like totally when you remove all these things that are clogging up your brain all the time, and you're denying yourself of things that you usually turn to for comfort, you realize that there's only one place to get comfort, and it's an interesting just exercise.
Well, and I think that's a huge part of fasting too, because in my own personal opinion, that fasting without prayer, you're just wasting your time.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's true. And if you're not a Christian, do meditation, but
Yeah.
it is such an incredible opportunity to listen to God and
Yeah.
to be open to what I mean, and it's something that a lot of Christians have gotten away from. And we'll talk about biblical fasting, but in Matthew 6:16 and 17, twice Jesus says, when you fast and pray. He
Yes.
doesn't say if you feel like it, if you ever get around to it. He says when. I mean, it was
Right.
normal practice. And so I've never been a part of a church, and I still am not part of a church in my entire life where it was really taught, and I'm not knocking any churches. I just think in the our current culture, it's just not something that's done with a lot of
It
people,
was
a lot of
it
congregations.
was refreshing for me. My church now, every January they do Daniel fast
Awesome.
as a congregation.
That's good.
And I love that.
Yeah.
How amazing is that? Because it at least gets people talking
Mhm.
and learning about the purpose of fasting.
Yeah. Yeah. It breakthrough happens when you're
Yes.
fasting. It really does. He has revealed things to me in these last couple of weeks that I'm certain that I wouldn't have had the brain space to even comprehend or be open to
Right.
if I hadn't been fasting.
And
Now,
a lot of times I think fasting forces us to slow down enough to be still,
Mhm.
to listen
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
without all that, like you said, without all the mind clutter.
Yeah.
As the mind clutter goes away, you're able
Mhm.
to hear more.
Yeah. It's also one of the things that has been revealed to me through this is how much, and it's something I've talked about for years about decluttering my home,
Yeah.
but it has really opened my eyes to how much if I'm decluttering my brain and I'm feeling this in tune, what would happen if I actually decluttered my environment? And so, I mean, it's really just been a powerful, eye-opening experience. It really
I love
has.
it.
So before we move on to another type of fasting with the smoothie and soup fasting, one of the things that if you're just doing this on your own, I understand why it may be hard to grasp that you're getting enough nutrients. Um, and why I want to write a book on this because I want to include recipes because what provided to my dissertation research team was okay, I've built these smoothies to all be within the same general parameters of nutrients. And I've now, since doing that, added soups. Primarily because I personally did not enjoy smoothies alone because I need that savory taste. I don't
Yeah.
always want sweet. So having the soups has made it a total game changer for me.
Yeah.
But I also build the soups the same way. So when you're doing something like this, if you have all of these recipes that I have, and you can go, okay, no matter what I choose, I know I'm getting good nutrients, and it might be that I added collagen to something and chia seeds and avocado and all these different things to bulk it up, but that it won't affect the taste.
Right.
And so that makes a difference in this because then you truly know you are getting all you need. And and so you aren't hungry.
Yeah.
You're not have experiencing true hunger.
No, my experience on the smoothie fast was the opposite
Uh-huh.
because I had problems getting it. Most days I was only doing two because I
Yeah.
had problems getting more than that in
Yeah.
because they were very, very filling.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And actually that's more typical of me.
Yeah.
It helps me to know they're available. I
Yeah.
have my soups made up. I usually have a smoothie like I made a triple, so I've got it made up. But when I when I know that they're there, I'm not really thinking about them. And all I got to do when I get hungry is just go grab one of them.
Yeah.
But it's very different. I probably most days since I've been on this fast have one, maybe 2 servings of whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
But you're right. It was a mental thing to know that they were in the freezer and ready
Yeah.
if I wanted them.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, if I was having an extra hungry day or something, it was available to me to have it.
Yep. Yep. And when we did the research, I encouraged people that if they needed it, if they were under 200, or up to 200 pounds, 3 servings of whatever, and then over 200 pounds, 4 servings of whatever. But I'm telling you, like Wendy said, they're very filling. So generally you don't even feel like you need that. But it is for those people that are worried they're going to be hungry. There's more than enough nutrients.
Only in the mind.
Yes.
Only hungry in the mind.
That's right. That's right. It's so eye-opening. It really is. Other health benefits of the smoothie and soup fasting, it supports detoxification with antioxidant-rich ingredients, because everything that you are doing, we're not making soups with mixes, y'all. There is no chemicals going into this,
or fake fruit powders and stuff.
No, when I make smoothies, I never encourage all of these garbage, powders and all that stuff. The only thing that you will ever hear me recommend powder wise are natural, like the collagen, the pasture raised collagen, matcha green tea I put in mine. I will do a mushroom powder. That's all, lion's mane, reishi, all those mushrooms. And all these things don't, at least not in the type of smoothies I make, you can't even taste them.
No.
But as far as I have seen plenty. As a matter of fact, I got a couple for free from when I used to do Thrive Market, of ones that were sent to me that had a bunch of additives in them. We won't use those. So everything you're putting in these soups and smoothies are all, for the most part, fresh ingredients, very antioxidant rich, and so good for you.
Yes.
And then also you're hydrating the body while you're nourishing it. So while you're still drinking lots of water, you're actually hydrating your body because you're having liquid meals.
That's right.
So, and then it's also easier to sustain than full fasting, making it more beginner friendly. And that's so true. I mean, my first research team, I think I had 150-ish, 145, something like that in there. And many of them had never even eaten clean, much less done anything, like this before.
Yeah,
and
no fasting experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So choosing low sugar, high fiber ingredients for your soups and smoothies are always going to be the best. And that helps stabilize your blood sugar too. So we got lots of others, but we'll just keep rolling until we're tired of talking, I guess.
I did start following a guy on TikTok that was doing a water spiritual fast. And he was trying to go 40 days and he made it.
Wow.
And he did very, very well. And he said it was, he said he probably will do it again, but he said his connection to God and being able to hear God much more clear was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
And he knew he could do it, but he really didn't think he would make it the full 40 days.
Yeah.
And he did.
That's amazing.
Water only. And he didn't get sick or anything like that. So now he's easing himself back in with like smoothies and soups and stuff.
Yeah.
Easing back into food.
You can't just slam your body back into food like normal.
Yeah. Go have a steak dinner or something.
No, you can't do it. You've got to ease your body back into it, because you will definitely make yourself sick for sure.
Yes.
But that's impressive. I like I said, I usually make it about 48 hours and then I start getting lightheaded and I'm like,
I would say 48 hours is the longest I've ever been able to do a total water fast.
Yeah.
And I don't do it often.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel great when I do. I have to have other things occupying my brain.
Oh yeah.
But again, I'll tell you what's been very different about this time, knowing that I was committing to 40 days and my commitment was I knew up front I was going to do a combination of fastings.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to do some water. I knew I was going to do some smoothie and soup. I'm planning on doing some Daniel fasting. So I think because I just know it's this prolonged period, so it has not occupied I'm not like looking at the calendar going, oh, when do I get to eat? It's going to be a while and it's okay. And actually we'll talk about Daniel fasting next, but you know, it's been a very different experience for me, and I love the fact that instead of me doing in the past where I've done just a week, I think it's harder to do a week because you can start making plans with friends to go out to, out to eat the next week, and you start thinking that way. Whereas right now I'm just like, this is
Yeah,
just,
because your mind already knows it's going to be a while, so there's no
yeah,
sense in thinking about
it's
it.
it's been easier for
Yeah.
me, and
Okay.
it's been pretty wild. I can do 40 days. I say that with God, I can do anything, but
That's
I don't
right.
feel him calling me to do 40 days of just water. I can tell you. So Daniel fasting is something that has become very, very popular with a lot of churches. I don't know where the 21 days comes from because a lot of churches do 21 days because biblically it's 10. But regardless, it doesn't matter. You'll generally hear of people doing this anywhere from 10 to 21 days. It's rooted in Daniel 1 verses 12 and 13. Which is where he talks about so the king is wanting to that they've been they're slaves of the king is wanting to basically get them all prepared for battle and wanting to feed them all kinds of meats and alcohol and all these things, and just like, oh, eat, drink, be merry, all this stuff. And Daniel says, no, please let me and my friends just eat vegetables and water for 10 days, and you'll see we'll be stronger than anybody else. That's a summarization. That's Wendy version. But anyway, so it's the official definition of Daniel fasting is biblically inspired plant-based fast. And this is why I don't do this one often, because I'm not a big believer in doing completely vegan, but for a fasting period, it's good. Participants avoid all meat, dairy, and processed foods for a set period. It focuses on fruit, vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds, and water.
Reminds me a lot of the alkaline diet.
It is. It's very similar to that. It's not going to be a big stretch for me, except for the animal products.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, because we already don't do processed foods. We already don't do a lot of those things. And so I don't know how long I'm going to do the soups and smoothies. When I feel like it's time to move into the Daniel fasting, that's my plan to round out my 40 days. But right now I'm still good with what I'm doing. But the health benefits, it does support detoxification by removing processed foods and animal products. So this is why when churches do this, and a lot of times it's or any group, like ladies group or whatever, and group of friends, they all decide to do this. Oftentimes it's a bunch of people that typically eat the standard American diet. Yeah. So it's a wonderful detoxification for them because they're accustomed to eating processed foods.
Right.
It's also a big stretch for some people because of this. So it is a good detox for people that are, typically doing the standard American diet. It improves energy levels and digestion because you're eating whole, nutrient-dense foods. So does what we teach on how, to eat in our lifestyle. That's right. It may enhance your spiritual connection for those who are doing it for faith-based reasons, because anytime you're denying yourself, and this is what we were just talking about with the other fasting with the smoothie and soup, anytime you're denying yourself, you're opening yourself up more to listening to God. And that is why we do it. It's the main reason why people do it is because they're combining fasting with mindfulness and reflection. It gives you a good opportunity to reflect on you know, a lot of people do it at the beginning of the year because they're reflecting on how the last year went, trying to be
And
more
how they
aware of
want
what.
this current year to
Yeah.
be different
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
change or
Exactly. But anyway, yeah, so that's one that you'll hear a lot of people talking about, and just biblical fasting in general. It's fasting combined with prayer, and it is throughout Scripture.
yeah.
Throughout, they did it all the time. When I mean, anytime there was anything intense that they needed to
Yes.
pray about, they
Anything
fasted and prayed.
troubling, they would fast and pray.
Yeah, yeah, and I can attest to it. When you, again, are denying yourself and you are opening yourself up to what God has for you, that's when breakthrough happens. And unless you've experienced it yourself, they just sound like words coming from my mouth. I
Yeah.
heard it from so many people. I read books on it. It wasn't until I experienced it myself that I was like, "Oh, this is huge." Um,
That's so
you know,
true. That is so
and
true.
I'll tell you something I do to enhance that when I'm going through this is journaling. Like, I'm not the best at a daily journal,
Me either.
like I wish I was. This may help re-spark that because it's actually for such an extended period. Um, but I'm journaling most days. I've skipped a couple here and there, but most days I pulled out a brand new journal just for this 40 days. And I basically every day write a letter to God. Like I'm talking to him about what has been happening. It's like I'm writing my prayer.
All
Um,
the emotions and your thoughts that you're going through. And it's so interesting. You should, after you finish in a few months, you should go back and reread
yeah,
that journal.
that's what I plan to do and just
Nice.
see how he moved during this time because it's really
I,
it's really
I, I'll bet you'll see a whole lot of revelations
yeah.
rereading it and the patterns that you'll notice on your mentality and your spirituality.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I pulled up, some biblical scholars' definitions of biblical fasting, because I'm by no means one. I love reading, I love studying, but I'm no scholar.
Right?
But
Same.
uh, it says fasting combined with prayer, often practiced for spiritual growth, guidance, or intercession. It typically involves abstaining from food and sometimes water for a set period while focusing on prayer and connection with God. But again, like I was saying earlier, it doesn't have to be, some set definition. I can
Right.
tell you right now, when I do Daniel fasting, one thing I'm not going to do that is typical is I'm not going to go out and make a whole bunch of veggie stock or go out and buy veggie stock. I make a ton of chicken and turkey stock and I'm going to use it,
That's right.
So I'm, just because they abstain from all meats and stuff, but I, I'm completely comfortable with making that decision to change that because I don't believe in anything legalistic. It's between me and God anyway.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
but so make it whatever you feel like you're being called to do. Health benefits of biblical fasting encourages mental clarity and focus, which aligns with spiritual reflection. It can promote emotional healing by allowing time to process and release burdens during prayer. Physical rest from digestion, similar to other fasts, can improve overall bodily function. So, and we've talked about the spiritual benefits. Examples from scripture, that was something else that I pulled. Jesus fasted 40 days in the wilderness in Matthew 4, demonstrates reliance on God's strength.
That's right.
Esther and the Jewish people, this is a big one. And she did the 72 hours. She had everybody fast for 3 days, fasting for divine intervention and protection. And Ezra's fast in Ezra 8, seeking God's protection and guidance. And so anytime, it doesn't have to be some big, long, extended 40-day thing. It
That's
can be
right.
a one-day thing where you're like, Lord, I need to get on my knees about whatever it is that is going on. And I'm fasting while I do this because I
Yeah.
need to come to you completely clear,
Yeah.
So, if
I
you,
did a little research on the best herbs to support
oh,
a fast,
mhm.
and came up with what we already knew: green tea, ginger, hibiscus. Mix those together.
Good.
That will help. I call it GGF,
Yes. Yes.
green tea, ginger, hibiscus.
Mhm.
What an awesome powerhouse. And then this one I have not tried, but it came recommended by several people, and it's called CCFT. It's cumin, coriander, and fennel during a fast. Very interesting, and I'm thinking about the flavors of each one of those. I am gonna have to try that.
I was
Just
going to say they're all very strong flavors.
yes, but they
Wow.
say that supports smooth digestion
I can see that.
and removes a boatload of toxins while you're fasting. Another one was just oregano.
Okay.
Just plain oregano. I'm not sure that just oregano makes a really good tea because that
Mm-mm.
one's very strong too.
Yes. I could see putting that in the soups, adding
Yeah.
more oregano to the soups for that reason.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm saying green tea, ginger, hibiscus.
Yes.
That sounds like a wonderful powerhouse.
And I've been actually doing that a lot without even knowing it. So that's perfect. That's
See?
awesome. Very good.
I've been trying to add the green tea to like every blend I'm making right now.
Good. That's good. I'm telling you, once you realize I have my morning stuff that I have, my green tea that I always mix with it.
Yeah.
And then I have my evening stuff that's usually chamomile or ashwagandha that I mix with
Yeah.
whatever, and so yeah, got to have that green tea for the morning stuff. I love it.
Well, even last night I had mixed it with tulsi, spearmint, and elderflower.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a great nighttime. I liked it.
Good.
And Rick liked it too. That's always a plus when
Yes.
he likes it because our tastes are so different.
Yes, yes. The only reason I personally avoid the green tea at night is just because I struggle with, staying
Keeps you
asleep.
awake.
So I'm, and especially right now with me not drinking coffee, that's my only source of caffeine.
Okay.
And so I'm afraid that if I were to push green tea too late,
Okay.
it would affect my
well, especially with this one, it was, it's like 3 parts tulsi versus 1 part green.
Okay.
So it's like very small
Just
part
mild.
compared to the others. It didn't affect me sleeping last
That's
night.
good.
So, I mean, and it was also early. It was before 6 when I had
Yeah. See, now I'd probably do okay with that then too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't drink it like right before bed or anything.
That's cool. That's cool. So the only other fast, there are so many others out there, and we're not going to go into detail on any of them, and also because we're over an hour. But I'm done telling y'all we have a time frame on ours. It's not happening anymore.
It's that rigid flexibility.
Yes, it's our rigid flexibility. Somebody texted me or sent me an email or something. Oh, I can't think of who it was that said that their theme for the year or their word of the year, but it's not a word, their phrase of the year is rigid flexibility because of always saying that. And I was like, that's perfect. I can't think of who it was.
I love it. I love it because I think we should all be rigidly flexible.
Yes, I do too. I do too. All right. So the other fastings, the alternate day fasting, we already talked about, which is a type of the intermittent fasting where you can just do 1 day on, 1 day off. What they recommend for the alternating days is in true ADF is what they call it in the alternate day fasting is if you're not fully fasting to eat under 500 calories on your off days. So basically it's super low caloric intake or full fasting and then eating the next day. It is said to enhance fat loss while preserving lean muscle. Improves heart health markers like cholesterol and blood pressure, and supports insulin sensitivity and metabolic health. But may be more challenging to sustain for some people compared to other, methods like the time restricted fasting. There's partial fasting, which a lot of times are done. You'll hear of people abstaining from certain types of foods. In a way, it's kind of like what I'm doing with the soups and smoothies, but you'll hear about people giving up sugar for a period of time, or let me give up processed foods for a small period of time. Give them up forever. or giving up meat for a period
Right.
of
Letting
time.
go of bread or carbs or
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people do this for religious fasting traditions like Lent. I know that that is the only thing fasting I ever learned about as a child is during Lent. Our church a lot of times would encourage you to give up one thing. Well, as a kid, I'm giving up like Brussels sprouts and stuff like
right.
that. I'm like, all
Right.
right, I got this. I can give up something, you
This is
know.
easy.
Right, right, you know. But then there's prolonged fasting. We already really talked about extended fasting periods of 48 plus hours is what's considered prolonged fasting, often
Okay.
done under medical supervision. And dry fasting, something that you will never hear Wendy Massey recommend because I'm a big believer in lots and lots of water. It's literally physical rest from digestion, similar to other fasts, including water, though. And I don't personally recommend that one.
I don't know how anybody can do that. Wouldn't I would think your body would shut down.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, I could see if somebody's doing it for spiritual reasons, but that
Yeah.
shouldn't be an extremely long
No.
period, I wouldn't think.
Not without
Um,
water.
yeah, yeah. Also, you'll hear of people doing juice fasting, which is similar to what I do with smoothie fasting. I happen to think the smoothie fasting's uh, healthier because I don't believe in juicing out all the pulp, or separating out all the pulp, and you're losing so much of the good fibrous
Stuff.
material
That's right.
in fruits and vegetables. And that pretty much covers it. So, but the main thing to know is that there's a reason for all fasting. If all you got out of this whole episode is about the time restricted fasting or time restricted eating, that should be a goal for absolutely everybody listening, watching this on replay.
12-hour window
12-hour window.
minimum.
Your body needs it. Your
Yeah.
body needs it. Your gut needs it. Your hormones need it. Every single part of, your health will be improved if you just do that. It
Yeah.
might be better if you go longer, but at the very least doing the time restricted eating.
Absolutely.
So, I feel like I've talked the whole time, Wendy. My goodness, what do you have going on this week?
Oh my goodness, what I have going on this week. I am still making progress on the Restoration Garden website verbiage.
Awesome.
So I'm still trying to get all of that together. It's, it always seems like it's going to be, I know what's in here, but it's always so hard to get it from here onto actual paper or the
Oh, yeah.
computer. And I'm a writer. I like to write things out. So I'll write it out first and then type it up. So I'm still working on that. I'm working on, there's lots and lots of sicknesses going around.
Yes.
If people haven't noticed, 'tis the season of unknown viruses and sicknesses and pneumonia and flus and all that stuff. So make sure y'all are boosting your immune systems. So I'm helping my family boost their immune system through vitamin C and high C teas, vegetables, things like that. And my daughter's having a tooth issue, so I made her up some manuka honey with ground cloves.
Mm-hmm.
Works wonders for a tooth issue.
That's
so yeah, be drinking good, eating clean, staying healthy, getting your elderberry in, and wash your hands.
Yeah. And join my Sugar Busters because that will help.
That's right. Join Wendy's Sugar Busters next week because getting off of sugar will help you stay healthy and well too.
Yep. One of the reasons why this is high viral season is because it was coming off a high sugar season. So
that's true.
I'm doing a 3-day Sugar Busters program next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's $17. It includes 3-day meal plan that is, I have designed it perfect to break through any kind of sugar cravings you have. It has all the recipes for everything that I have on there. It has a shopping list. We're going to do 1 hour seminars each day via Zoom. I am recording them if you can't attend at the time that I have it scheduled, which is 4 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We've got a private Facebook group that people can gather in for extra questions, and during the seminars, I'm going to have a Q&A opportunity for people as well. So really, really excited about that. I haven't done a short program since early last year because I was wrapping up my doctorate and I just didn't have time. So I'm super excited to be able to get something like this out to more people. I do have a special right now. We're almost at our limit, but for the first 10 people that enroll and also get a friend to enroll with them, I'm refunding your enrollment fee. I'm refunding that $17. So I'm very excited about that. And I'll drop the link in underneath how to enroll, but it's going to be a fun 3 days.
Nice.
Something else I'm working on, well, besides being excited about playoffs, I am a football girl. I do love that. But Bill came home. Again, my brain's been elsewhere. I ran out of laundry detergent, and so he took it upon himself to buy some horrible stuff. And all I can smell in my house, everything that's been washed, is chemicals. It's driving me insane. So the reason why I ran out is I have been planning on creating a new dry powdered laundry detergent because I've used the same recipe ever since you and I started playing around with it 12 years ago. The same liquid one, but it's big. It's, I always make a big 5-gallon bucket. And so I said, you know what? I really want to make a powdered one. So I have a recipe I'm going to do, and I've been really trying to figure out how to do it without borax because more and more.
Let me know if you figure that out because I like the dry better because, like you said, it takes up less room. I don't have to stir it every time I use it. But I can't find one without borax.
So I've put one together. Well, we'll talk about that next week. I'm gonna by the time we meet next week, I'll have it done. And it's funny because I was gonna wash my sheets this weekend, and I was like, "Do not strip this bed. I cannot smell that horrible chemical smell."
Now while you're sleeping.
Oh, it's awful. I mean, I can smell. I hung his coat that I washed in here, and it's all I can smell in my office. And I'm like, "Oh, it's terrible."
Isn't that amazing? That you notice.
Well,
I'll tell y'all. I know you said something that somebody had asked for a stainless steel cleaner, a clean version. I'll have that next week.
Okay.
And you're gonna do the laundry detergent.
Yeah, and also we also got a request. Y'all send us requests to wendy'sonwellness@gmail.com. We do read them and listen to them, and we got a request for
how to care for cast
iron. Yeah. And in particular, when you get a great cast iron find at a yard sale or something like that, or somebody's giving it away because it's rusted or
old and rusted, whatever, you can bring that back to life.
You can. So we'll talk about that next week. Somebody wanted us to follow up on our cast iron talk that we had before with some more specifics on that kind of thing. So, whew.
Yeah, lots going on.
Yeah. And more snow coming to y'all. It looks like we're on the edge where we might not get it. Y'all might actually get more than us.
I don't know. Keep watching because when it comes from the south like that,
it's usually a beast.
Virginia and Maryland typically get hammered. So it looks like right now the target bullseye is Virginia Beach.
Oh boy. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that one.
Come on. I know we need it, but I just love spring and summer so much.
I'm so ready. I'm so ready for the summer. I can't stand it. But it was funny. And this last thing I'll talk about, when I first announced my Sugar Busters program, one of my friends, she said, "Did you mean January?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, of course it's January." And I looked, and I had written in my first explanation, July. I was like, "Well, you know where my daggone brain is." Yep. I'm trying to wish it into existence.
love it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We have so much fun meeting with you all and just being able to hang out, and hope you all get a lot out of this. Again, let us know if you have any topics you want us to cover. We do listen, and we never judge.
That's right. We listen and we don't judge.
We love y'all. Have a great rest of your week. Mwah.
Mwah.